Check 1, 2. So we should be on a different live. You may have to send out the link again. All praises. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to change that. But we could change that on the back end. Yeah, we could change that on the back end. All praises. So we should be back. I'm not sure why that did that, but it did it. It did it. And we're going to do this. Going straight back into... So just send out the new link to everyone. Thank you. All praises. Put it in the group chat as well. All praises. Okay. All righty. Let's read the last verse again.
Reading from the book of 2 Peter 2 verse 3. And through covetousness shall their faint words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not.
Read it again, sorry.
2 Peter 2 verse 3. And through covetousness shall their faint words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now for a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not.
Good, that was verse 3, right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, let's pick it up from verse 1. Let's just jump back 2 verses. Verse 1.
Reading from the book of 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction.
Swift destruction. So again, there are some people who want to rank up just for the position, to lord themselves over men so they could, what eventually happens is they bring in, all these heresies, things that not even pertaining to the Bible, all right? The Lord will bring swift destruction upon them. Then there's some who they understand ranking up is because it comes with a responsibility. That's why they want to rank up, because there's more to do. Verse 2. What? Verse 2.
Verse 2. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of.
So many shall follow their ways. You're going to see a lot of persons following after that way of what they think is popular, what they think is the way to go, right? A lot of people love false teachers because their teaching sounds so beautiful, so wonderful. They just follow that. It sounds great. Because the scriptures say, like-minded spirits, they consort together. So if you have that type of spirit where, certain things itch your ear, you're gonna follow more towards that. You understand that? Give me verse 3.
Verse 3. And through covetousness shall their faint words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not.
So it's a covetous spirit behind it as well. They're coveting that role of leadership. So they try to rank up, very quickly for all the wrong reasons. All right? But they make merchandise of you because now, everything they're doing going to be very shady, running schemes, all of that. All right? But it says their damnation slumbereth not. Understand, it's not something that you should be scared out of your pants about. Like, ooh, suppose I'm following somebody that's not in the right spirit. What's going on? Like, it's going to be bad for them. If you're genuine and have a genuine spirit, you're not going to be the one that get played. They're going to play themselves. It literally says their damnation is not going to sleep. In other words, God not sleeping on their damnation, their judgment, their punishment. Everybody gets that? Everybody understands that? Stop trying to, like, you can't sleep at night. What if I'm not following the right person? The Most High gonna deal with it. Let the Most High deal with it. Let him cook. He always, trust me, he always does. Right? So you think if he cooking when it comes to the congregation, because the scriptures show you in the Apocrypha, if sin is happening in the congregation and it's going unchecked or, it's undetected, the Lord said he's going to bring you down or throw you down in the midst of the congregation where everyone will see what your sin is. Now, that's the congregation. So imagine someone in a leadership role, what he going to do to them. I've seen some leaders who has blasphemed the Lord, and their end was not pretty. And it came swift. It came hard-hitting. Some of them, the worst happened to them. You understand? But again, everything is a balance. Not every leader that you see pass away in Israel means that they sinned or that they did some unscrupulous thing. The Lord says he does take out his best warriors in the midst of the battle. Sometimes he takes you out before you suffer certain things that's ahead. So you have to know a person. You have to know their works. You have to know the persons they impacted, know the persons whose lives they changed. Don't just step from outside the window and be like, oh, well, that person died because they sinned against the Lord. Okay? It could be that they died because the Lord was very pleased with them. The Lord takes you out when he's very pleased with you as well. So it could go both ways. But you got to be, on a certain level spiritually to understand both sides of the coin. If you're very immature in the truth, every person that you see pass away, oh, they sinned, so they died. No. The Most High is very pleased with a lot of men, and he takes them out. He brings them home. You understand that? Ah, praise it. It's good. But you have to know a person. Let's go to the book of 3 John chapter 1 and verse 7. 3 John chapter 1 verse 7.
Reading from the book of 3 John chapter 1, commencing at verse 7.
And just let everyone know on the socials as well, the new link as well. Thank you. Read on.
Because that for his name's sake they went forth, taking nothing of the Gentiles.
Read on.
Verse 8. We therefore ought to receive such, that we might be fellow helpers to the truth.
So your job in this truth is to be fellow helpers one to another. Watch this, verse 9.
Verse 9. I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have preeminence among them, deceived us not.
Diotrephes, he loves to have the preeminence. He want to be the top guy. He wants to be the one that's lauding his presence over everyone. He wants to be the one that is deciding who goes into the kingdom and who doesn't go into the kingdom. He think he has that type of pull with the Lord, right? He thinks he's the gateway between heaven and earth. He thinks you come to the truth through him. That preeminent spirit. That is the opposite spirit to the Jezebel spirit, having that preeminence, wanting to ascend to that level of leadership because you want to lord yourself over people. You're power tripping. You're having power trips. Right? And your job is supposed to refine and hone the people that's under you, remove sin from the congregation, present the bride as spotless and clean before Yahweh Shai come back, and to correct where needs be. But a lot of people don't go into that post with genuine intentions. Okay? And a lot of people see that post as that's a means to a greater end. not as a means to serve more, as a means to a greater end. And that's why, sadly, a lot of people come into this truth for fame. A lot of people come into this truth because of what they think they could get out of it. A lot of people come into the truth for the wrong reasons. They don't come to serve. They come to see what gold they can get on the other end of the rainbow. You understand? Read on.
Verse 10. Wherefore, if I come, I will remember his deeds which he doeth, prating against us with malicious words.
Prating against us with malicious words, come on.
And not content therewith.
And not pleased therewith, read on.
Neither does he himself receive the brethren.
He doesn't receive the brethren because he thinks he's the gateway between the truth and Yahweh Shai and the Most High God. Read on.
And forbiddeth them that would, and casteth them out of the church.
And casteth them out of the church. So he think him in that position, he has the right to, allow people into the kingdom and who's going to get the kingdom. He thinks he could predict and preempt who's going to get the kingdom. As a leadership, that's not your job, right? Your job is to just correct. You don't know who's going to get the kingdom. You don't know who's not going to get the kingdom. Your job is to maintain the flock. You understand that? Simply put, your job is to serve and maintain the flock. All right? Not to have preeminence. All right, let's get Genesis 3, verse 3, so we can see where that spirit, it's always been there, like I mentioned in the top of the class. It's always been there. But you're going to see this spirit is there to override true leadership, which is God's leadership. Genesis 3, verse 3.
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God had said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die.
So God already gave his instructions to Adam and Eve. He says, don't touch this tree, right, the fruit thereof, otherwise you're going to die. And for those of you that don't know, it wasn't actually talking about a tree. It was talking about a man of another nation. Don't learn from them. Don't learn their ways. Don't learn the product of their doings, their ways. Otherwise, you're going to die because their ways are not according to the commandments. Read on, verse 4.
Verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
So that spirit, right, that was on that man, told Eve a direct contradictory statement that what God said. That spirit, that manipulative spirit, comes to remove God's structure, God's order, so that you could just move it a little bit to the left. Did God tell you you're going to die? You shall not surely die. So you see how that spirit, it's always been around, that manipulative spirit, right? And how that spirit just put that in her mind, plant that seed. He didn't actually tell her, man, go ahead and do it. He just tell her, you ain't going to die. He leave the rest up to her to ponder and think about, I want to do it. He told me I ain't going to die? But what if I do it? You see that? Verse 5.
Verse 5. For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So this spirit comes to entice you with, what you would think is a benefit. Saying that your eyes are going to be opened. You don't want your eyes open, right? Yes. Well, do it. Your eyes are going to be opened, right? And you're going to be as gods, knowing good and evil. You're going to know the difference between keeping the commandments and not keeping the commandments, right? Now, I got my files with me, right? I got my files with me. All praises. So now, I'm going to give you some simple ways, especially for those in TOC overseas. As you guys build up the congregations, right? You're going to have to look for these subtle things that if you don't identify them early on, your congregation is going to run into a muck. Trust me. Now, one of these things you got to look for is manipulation in the form of reverse psychology. Right? So now, here's an example. Let's say a sister wants to lead the sisterhood prayer group, right? But instead of asking in front, of everyone, in front of everyone else, she says, well, I'm probably not the right one for it. I'm sure somebody else is better at, handling big responsibilities like that. I don't really want to be in the way, So, whenever someone else presents an idea that they didn't come up with, you don't align with their vision, right? They start to over-spiritualize it. Well, I think the Lord spoke to me. And he told me that ain't the way we should go. So everybody could be like, oh, maybe there's something there. Maybe the Lord did speak to him. And again, that's why you have to have processes and a structure that you follow. The process is that a brother has to rank up to a certain level before you even listen to him saying, well, the Lord spoke to me. No, if you just came in from the world the other day, no, brother, the Lord ain't talk to you. Relax. It's happening again? Okay. Check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all praises. Oh, we buffering. I'm not sure. Maybe there's connectivity issues happening in the network. It's possible. Right. So, over spiritualizing. Yeah, brother's gonna be like, the Lord spoke to me and told me that ain't the way we should go. All right, brother. Whether the Lord spoke to you or not, you're not in a position as yet to deal with that. There's a process. There's a order that we follow. All right, just wait your turn. All right, your job is to get rooted right now, because what would happen is you don't want a brother who don't even have his life together thinking that he has so much knowledge on this and that, but then he can't even get his own life in order. It's out of order. There's no honor in that. Follow me, brothers. Those of you that are overseas as well, follow me. It's sure, it sounds good in theory. Like they know this, they know that. But then the fruit, that's why Christ said, by their fruit you shall know them. If in their own life there's little to no fruit, and all the knowledge that they say they have, it's just ain't there. It gone for naught. There's no honor in that. All right? Another example is lauding preferences to win favor. Let's say, for instance, a sister, she showers flattery and praise and, whoever is in leadership, right? Saying things like, man, I really just love you so much, but their actions is just different. I love you so much. I love you. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Leadership, we love you, but the actions is different. It's manipulation at its finest. Deacon, we love you. Captain, we love you. Officer, we love you so much. But then when they get corrected, they don't love you then. That ain't love. Okay, that's not love. Don't let manipulation fool you. Manipulation comes to pull the wool over your eyes. You brothers, don't be fooled. See it, know it, identify it. It comes to destroy. It comes to move things away from how you do things in the Bible. Deviate just a little bit. Bring in that Baal worship. No one realizes it. No one recognizes it. You understand? Here's another example again. I got my files. I told y'all I got my files. Now watch this. There's some people that are going to come into the congregation and they're going to do good just to gain leverage. That's evil, right, soldier? They have an intent behind doing good, right? Let's, for instance, a brother, you know, he might be either cleaning the church every week, setting up every week, doing different things within the body every week. But mind you, he's not doing it from the stance of what the Bible says, do everything unto the Lord. They're doing it from what standpoint? To win favor. So whenever they do need a favor or pull with whoever leadership is in that position, right? An opportunity comes, they don't want, to be shot down, They're using it as leverage. The Bible talks about that as well, right? Now, let's say the leverage that they're looking for, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't accomplish. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to flip on you in an instant. And they're going to say, after everything I've done, after everything I did, I come up here every Friday and I clean the church and I did it for you. Wrong. You got the wrong concept. The Bible says do everything as unto the Lord. If you're doing this for a man, you got the spirit of manipulation on you. If you're doing it because you're trying to win some favor, you got the spirit of manipulation on you. If them words ever utter out of your mouth, after all I done, soldiers of the car, get them out of the congregation immediately. Remove them. It says remove yourself from persons like that. But I'll say to you, correct them first. If they receive the correction, then you can work with them. If they don't receive it, now I know my soldier different there. He's like, yeah, I ain't waiting for that to happen. They are having a conversation with them tomorrow. I'm turning them away. But have a little patience, work with them. People coming in from outside with different spirits. They're coming in damaged, they're coming in with trauma, they're coming in with different things. But that don't mean let the spirit of manipulation run amok. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. All right? Now, another spirit of manipulation is when it comes to flipping the narrative. When persons get corrected, they flip it back on you to try and highlight your inadequacies, your what seems like your errors or your shortcomings. They're getting corrected in that moment. But what about you? You did this, you did that. Hold up. This is about your error. Yeah, but you. Classic manipulation. That spirit, again, it wants to remove the leadership position out of there. Okay? And in doing so, you're going to find, listen to me, soldiers of car, you're going to find brothers that come into the congregation. They don't want you to be an officer over them. They don't want you to be a captain over them. They want you to be, what they want you to be with them. They want you to be a brother with them. So what they do, they're going to be, you're going to receive a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of this, a lot of that. And sure, at first it looked fine. But brothers who are in leadership roles and ascending to be in leadership roles, be very careful and know where to draw that line. That spirit of manipulation comes to erase the line of leadership. So once they can remove the line of leadership, and how they do it is also by, they want to be buddy-buddy with you. And they do so that they could bro you. Hey, bro, going on, bro, my bro. They don't want to see you as leadership. They don't want that. Because if they see you as leadership, that means they got to do what? Submit to leadership. That spirit doesn't want to submit to nothing. Or it want to be selective about what it submits to in order to achieve its own preference. That spirit is very destructive. You got to follow me. So now, removing that line of leadership, I want us to be bros. I don't want it to be my officer. I want us to be bros. Why we just can't be bros? Bro, I don't want you to be my captain. I want you to be my bro. You know, and I must say, I'm very familiar with it. Like, you know, there's been brothers who, you know, came and gone. And because, you know, the captain has a very, you know, youthful spirit about himself. So a lot of brothers would come into the congregation and they would see me as just, you know, a big bro rather than the captain. Hey, we're going on, bro. And it diminishes the leadership role. But that spirit, you know, it comes from in the world. It seeks to remove leadership role so that they don't have to submit. They could talk to you how they want to talk to you. They could speak to you in a manner, in a tone, in a way that is unbefitting of someone who is a soldier of Christ, who's a soldier in the ministry, who's a soldier that's supposed to take directives and orders and submit to a chain of command. They want to remove that. So once that is removed, that spirit now goes on to accomplish its true intent, which is to now bring in preferences, bring in its own way, its own traditions, bring in all these different suggestions of what we should do. And it ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. And if you allow it, Soldier Gabar, what's going to happen is you're going to have a whole congregation after a while that's just based on everyone's preferences. The Bible out the window. Mission accomplished. You can't allow that. If persons don't like correction and you correct them once, twice, like the Bible says after the third admonishment, thanks but no thanks, you're not a right fit for here. Sayonara. The Lord ain't got no short of men. You not special. You not somebody that's needed. Whoever your captain is, whoever your officer is, whatever you think you could do, they could do it better. They could have camp by themselves. They don't actually need you. If it's equipment they need to set up, they could do it better than you can. They were doing it before you. They could do everything that you're trying to do for the ministry better. They don't need you. But, however, because the Lord, the way his structure is, he allows harvesters to come and help with the harvest. But it's just that those who are over the harvesters, you got to be able to see when that spirit of manipulation comes, deal with it swiftly. Don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't try to, you know, pretty it up with other things. See it, identify it, deal with it, correct it. If it doesn't want correcting, let it go. Let them go. You understand me? Good. What verse? What was the last verse you had? Good. Let's go to Jeremiah 23, verse 1. Because you, listen, the end result of that, you let a person, a brother or a sister, but we're dealing with the brothers because they're the leaders, right? If you let a brother like that ascend up into any leadership role and you didn't correct that, this is what happens. 23 and 1, Jeremiah 23, verse 1.
Reading from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 1. Woe be unto the priests that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, said the Lord.
They're going to scatter the sheep. So he says, woe be unto the pastors. No, they've already ascended up into that position of pastor, captain, officer, deacon. But then because that spirit went unchecked, now the end result is scattering the flock. Y'all get the point? This flock is now scattered, dismembered. Idol worship is now in there without y'all actually realizing it. Right? Give me verse 2.
Verse 2. Therefore thus said the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people.
Mind you, these are the pastors, the leaders that lead in the flock of his people, right? So even though, yes, today we could use this verse to synonymize with the Christian church, yes, but in context, this is dealing with y'all who's supposed to be in the truth, who have ascended into leadership pastoral roles, but that spirit of manipulation didn't go get corrected. It went unchecked. Read on. So against the pastors that feed my people, read.
Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away.
You have driven them away by bringing in your own preferences. Read on.
And have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, said the Lord.
So the Lord says he's going to bring the visitings of their doings upon them. So that's what's coming to those persons who let that spirit go unchecked. The Lord will absolutely bring punishment as well. All right? Good. Romans 16, verse 17. Romans chapter 16, verse 17.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 16, verse 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, make them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them.
And do what?
Avoid them.
Avoid them. So eventually that's what happens. Divisions and offenses that are contrary to the doctrine. Once you leave that spirit of manipulation unchecked, this is the end result. Different doctrines, heresies, things that ain't biblical. Give me verse 18.
Verse 18. For they that are such serve it not our Lord Jesus Christ.
So you could have people that look like they're in the truth, but they're not in the truth. He says they're not serving Yahweh Shai the Christ. Read on.
But their own belly.
But their own?
But their own belly.
But their own belly, their own preferences, their own traditions, their own things that they want to do. Read on.
And by good words and fair speeches, deceive the heart of the simple.
Good words and fair speeches, they deceive the hearts of the simple. So don't be simple. You got to know when the spirit of manipulation is around, is present, is near, so that you don't be deceived. You understand that? They use very fair words, right? Like for instance, I got my files. I tell you, I got my files. Like for instance, humbly bragging just because they want a position, right? Like for instance, you might have someone that says things like, I don't really want any titles, you know. I just come here to serve. Sure, that sounds great, right? That sounds amazing, right? That sounds like that's the kind of person we want in that position. Someone who ain't looking a title, right? But somehow, they're going to say, but somehow people just keep asking me to lead. They keep asking me to lead. I guess the anointing of the Lord is on me and it's speaking, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to appear humble, right? They're trying to promote themselves as being a chosen one or the chosen one. But it's all manipulation. But if you can't see it, then I don't know when you're going to see it. You got to be able to see it now. All right? Let's get Proverbs 26 and verse 24.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 26 and verse 24.
Come on.
He that hateth dissembleth with his lips.
He that hateth dissembleth with his lips. Who knows what it means to dissembleth? It means to be conniving with your lips, to speak one thing, but something else is actually in your mind. You know, they got some people like that. Their words don't match what's in their head. They say it, but it's not really what's in their heart. They say it to sound a certain way, politically correct, but that's not really what's in their heart. That's not really what they would like to say. Now, it says, he that hateth dissembleth with his lips. Read on.
And laid up deceit within him.
There's deceit in him. What his lips is speaking is really not what's in him. What his words is really actually coming out of his mouth is not really what's in his mind. That is a very deceitful manipulation tactic, right? Like for instance, using fake difference to get trust. All right? A brother that might say, well, you know, I'm just here to learn from all you seasoned brothers. But quietly he's sowing discord among others. So it's like, with the lips that say one thing, but in their hearts they have something else, and with their actions they're doing something else too, right? So now they may say something like, some of the older folks, they're a little bit stuck in their ways and we need fresh fire. They go around saying that to everyone. And everyone say, yeah, you're right, you're right. So what that person is doing is playing both what? Playing both sides. You never meet somebody like that. I have. Well, if I tell you some of them in here, would you believe? People who play both sides of the coin? I don't have to call nobody out, but everyone knows what they do. Play both sides. That's what it means to dissembleth with your lips. You say one thing, but then you're going over here on the next side over here, and then you're saying something else. You say something over here, but then you say something different over here, right? It's almost like you're two different people. But you're doing that to do what? It's a spirit of manipulation on you. You're trying to manipulate things on both sides. You follow me? So read that again so we could just finish it out. Read it again.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 26, verse 24. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him.
You layeth up deceit within him. Like, when you have a double-faced peacemaker, you ever see a double-faced peacemaker? So, like for instance, a brother, he's known as the glue in the congregation. So whenever they got tension between strong voices, right? He tends to come in and step in and mediate, right? But then, check it out. What that brother may be doing is he go to one sister and say, hey, such and such really respect you a lot. And they told me, they just don't know how to communicate it to you. They're under a lot of pressure, This kind of softens the person who they're speaking to. But then they go to the other person and they say something like, well, XYZ, that person, they feel attacked. But they think you're dismissive. But I told them, you don't mean it that way. And I've been trying to defend you. All right? So both parties think the person is on their side. They're dissembling with their lips. But in truth and in fact, that person ain't solving anything. They're gathering influence by keeping both sides dependent upon them, as seeing them as a safe middle ground. All right? So if peace breaks out without them, they lose power. Right? So what they do, they keep the fire low just enough to keep them coming, just to manage it. All right? So what they do is they create dependency upon themselves. They avoid being blamed by staying what we call neutral. They play both sides of the fence, play both sides. And I've met some people like that, and I just said to myself, wow. Wow, wow. That's all I could say. It's just wow. Playing both sides of the fence. Like you might have a brother, right? Let's say, give a quick example. There's some persons who, they play the both sides of the fence, and they don't want you to know they're playing both sides of the fence. So when they speak to you, they give you an impression like, whatever happened with this judgment was right, it was fitting, it was true. But then they're still speaking to the person who the judgment happened to and telling them things like, well, I kind of agree with you, I kind of agree with you of how your point of view is and how you see it. And then they would go to the leadership and say, man, I agree with how, yeah, man, that thing came out the way it's supposed to come out. But they go into the person who received the judgment and say, boy, that day shouldn't have played out like that. You don't think it should have. Playing both sides of the coin, that is a manipulative spirit. And it happens, right under your nose. But if you listen to someone's words, you could see they're playing both sides of the fence. The thing about the Lord, what's crazy to me? That people would actually try to use words of deceit with a man of the Lord, like a true man of the Lord. it just goes to show some people really don't know who they're talking to. You understand? Proverbs 14 and verse 15. And that's going to happen. Soldiers of God, people are going to come into the congregation, not really understand, what your rank is in the spirit. And they think their words going to be able to just sway you and move you. Proverbs 14 and 15.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 15. The simple believe it every word.
The simple ones, they believe every word that comes out of everyone's mouth. You see me? I don't let words allow me to believe. I let actions prove. The fruit of your doings. Read on.
But the prudent man looketh well to his going.
The prudent man, he looketh well to his what? Going. In other words, doing. Actions. Y'all get the point? Not words. Actions. Ephesians 5 and verse 6.
Reading from the book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words.
Vain words, sounding very politically correct, nicing up things to make it sound a certain way, but, inside their heart, it's all deceit, it's all lies. They're hoping that you believe the lie. They believe the lie too. They repeat it so much. They believe the lie. The worst person to lie to is yourself. Read on.
For because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience.
Because of these things, like vain words, using deceit, using deception, all right? The wrath of God will come upon persons who think they could outsmart God. In other words, you're thinking that you're too smart for God to figure out what you're actually doing. That you're playing both sides of the fence. You're playing both sides of the coin. You have a spirit of manipulation. If you notice that you have a spirit of manipulation on you and you didn't realize how it got on you, you just know it's on you based on things that's coming out of the class, the best bet for you is to just, when you're fasting, pray that the Most High remove that. And then number 2, just stop doing those things that you used to do with regards to how you went about doing certain things. Don't go about it doing it like that anymore. Ask a question. Like, should I go about it doing it like this or like that? But do it in righteousness. All right? Don't do it because of pride, because you want to seem like you're spiritual. All right? Because the Most High got something for those who seem like they're spiritual as well. All right? Verse 7.
Verse 7. Be not ye therefore partakers with them.
Don't be partakers with them. Separate yourselves from persons like those who are using, vain words to deceive and to, use deception. Double-minded persons, double-tongued persons, double-faced persons. Colossians 2 and verse 8.
Reading from the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit.
Philosophy and vain deceit. Israelites love to philosophize and they love to come with vain deceit, vain deception, manipulation. And usually you see someone who loves to philosophize. Those two things go hand in hand. They love to philosophize, so they have vain deceit. Like, they would come to you and ask you a question. The question ain't actually based on them wanting to know. It's just based on vain deceit to see if they could find some loophole in something else. Brothers who ranking up, you got to be able to see it. If you suspect a question is based on vain deceit, you suspect a question is based off of just philosophizing and this person just want to philosophize with you, cut it in its tracks. Don't let it go any further. Point it out. Say, brother, we're not here to philosophize anything. We're here to do what the scriptures say. Point blank, period. That's it. We're moving on. Read on.
After the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after Christ, not after the truth, not after the word, not after the commandments. They want to bring in their own what? Traditions. They want to bring in their own preferences. Again, spirit of manipulation is to move the things of God out of the way, to bring in their own traditions, their own preferences, the way that makes them happy, the things that they want to do, the things that they want to see happening. That's not based on scripture. They want to ease it in, chook it in. As this in the Caribbean, chook it in, chook that in a little bit to the left, right? But as you know, if you put the tip in, eventually all in. No, don't listen to no, sisters, don't listen to no brothers talking, but I just want to put the tip in. Ain't no put no tip in. Once you put tip in, everything in. All right? That's just a manipulation tag. I just want to put the tip in. No. In the Bible, sex consummates marriage. Don't let a brother manipulate you. And let me just give a word to when it comes to like wives. Wives, because you have that Eve gene, you've been manipulated, so you know how to manipulate. Brothers, be on the lookout. I'm sorry. Sisters know exactly how to manipulate their husbands when they want to. Your number one manipulator gonna come from at home. They know how to just manipulate. Listen, you would have in your mind what we're going to do, what we're not gonna do. Before you know it, you're doing what she wants to do. And you're like, how did we get here? She knew how to manipulate you. She came and she gave you some vain words, some deceitful words. It sounded good. It sounded nice. That rub on your back felt good. Before you know it, y'all at the hardware store about to build a whole new pantry. You're like, how we get here? They know how to do it. But sisters, I would say, because you have that Eve gene. It comes from Eve. Use it for good. If you're going to use it to build up your house. Don't use it to tear down your house. All right? So if it's things that's going to benefit your marriage, benefit your household, all right? But have a balance. Don't just be, bringing in your preference all the every day to make this man feel like his final decision does not matter. Don't do that. But there's a way to go about everything, all right? Ask your husband, is this something we could do? Is this? But if he says, no, babe, not right now, don't go on Monday and be like, well, I already went and bought this stuff. Like you mentioned, we would kind of think about it, building the pantry. But I just kind of went and preempted it. I bought the screws, I bought the nails, and a gentleman coming here this afternoon at 2 o'clock to drop off the boards them so we could build the pantry. Don't do that, sis. That's like, you're conning this man into this. He already said we're going to think about it. Now a gentleman coming at 2 o'clock to drop off the board. You already got the nails and the screws. Now you figure once those things are bought, he can't say no. We already got the stuff there. All right, sisters, be very careful with that manipulation, all right? Let your husband make the final decision. Where we at? Let's get Galatians 1 and verse 10.
Reading from the book of Galatians, chapter 1 and verse 10. For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? If I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Christ.
That's very heavy right there. I want you to read that again for me. I want you to listen to this verse carefully. Read on.
For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I shall not be the servant of Christ.
When it comes to being in a congregation, you're not here to serve men in the sense of your job is unto the Most High God. In other words, pleasing them as in the sense of their preference. Will people dislike you in the leadership role? Yes. They're not there to love you like that. They're there to be instructed and corrected by you. You're there to keep the flock intact. They're not going to like that. Do not cut your nose to spite your face. Meaning, you just want to be loved by those under you so much that you give everybody their preference. Okay, that's your preference, so be it. That's your preference, so be it. That's your preference. Everyone's preference gets highlighted and implemented. Before you know it, you're not serving God. Who you serving? Who you pleasing? You pleasing men. You're not there. Now I get it. Sometimes you got an inferiority complex. Like, I wonder if these people like me, boy. I wonder if these people actually, they favor me, boy. I see in the Christian church how they love off the pastor and love off the hug them up and they listen, in the truth, this is a different ball game. You ain't here to be loved like that. In the Christian church, they give everybody what they want. So they hug, of course they're going to hug up Pastor. Pastor, you're just my best friend. Like for instance, y'all see what happened to parents who be best friends with their children? What happens to those children? Them children turn into terrorists. You're not here to be best friends with your child. Yes, you can be cordial and be, amicable, but your child is here to learn from you, take instruction from. Now, when you see the child wants to remove that parental structure, and so that we could be buddy. I watched a video 2 days ago. My wife said she was so appalled. This youngster, this YN, and I hate calling them YNs because it gives them justification to keep acting that way. But this YN, 17 years old, busting some hard slap on his mother. Pie! And she said, "You're only doing this because there's no man in here to protect me." He said, "Exactly. That's why I'm doing it. I know there's no man here to protect you." So these YNs out there terrorizing society, terrorizing everything out there, but they're not only terrorizing everything out there, they're terrorizing everything at home as well. That mother's supposed to be instilling what? Direction and structure in him, but he wants to remove that structure, and so that his mother is his friend or his homie, and when she does not oblige to that, what happens? He turns on her, flips on her. Now he's beating her up, smacking her phone out of her hand. Just check out the video. It's there. It's all over. It's gone viral right now. It's gone viral. He's beating up his own mother. You understand that? So now that happens when you try to please your children and not correct your children. Your children can get rewarded when they do what they're supposed to do, not when they act unscrupulous and do what they're not supposed to do. Never reward anyone for being disobedient. Again, never reward anyone. You don't see that happening in the workplace. You don't get rewarded for doing what the boss said the opposite to do. You're not going to be at that pizza party. You know, say, you sit this one out. Or if they have awards happening, everyone, okay, stand up, employee of the month. You stand, you get this. You get a nice leather folder. You're going to be sitting down like, wait, everybody getting stuff, nothing for me. Yeah, because you were the most diabolical out of the whole staff. You ain't getting nothing. This person get land folder. This person get, a nice case to put things in. Everybody receives something. You sitting down watching your rest co-workers like, wait, even George, the cleaner gets something? I ain't get nothing? Yeah, because look at you. You come to work late. You don't perform your tasks. You don't do what you're supposed to do, but yet you want reward. It don't work like that in the real world, so why should it work like that for the Most High Yahweh? So we're not here to please men. We're here to please the Most High. So brothers, take that very serious. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to be hugged up and, oh, you're the best captain in the world. You're not here for that. You're here to lay down the law. Get the congregation in order. If they don't like it after 1 or 2 admissions, hit the road, Jack. Simple. That's what you're here for. Okay? So, do I persuade men or God? Do I seek to please men? For yet, if I please men, read the last part. If you're a man pleaser,
I shall not be the servant of Christ.
If you're a people pleaser,
I shall not be the servant of Christ.
You are not a servant of Christ if you are a people pleaser. Some people gonna get their feelings hurt. Still correct them. Some people gonna get bent out of shape. I don't like what the captain tell me. Still correct them. Some people gonna say, but I hate the captain. So be it. Still correct them. They gonna call you all kind of names, Soldier Gabar. Still correct them. You are a servant of Christ, not a servant of man. I get the point. Good. So if you're truly a servant of Christ, you're going to identify the spirit of manipulation. You're not going to let vain and deceitful words move you, sway you, right? And you're going to do everything unto the Lord, and you don't care who feels a way about it. Let them feel that way. Galatians 1 and verse 11.
Reading from the book of Galatians 1, chapter 11. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man.
So feel solace to know that what you're correcting them with, this, is of the Most High, not of man. So whether they love you, hate you, like you, don't like you, it's not of man. It's of the Most High God. Read on.
Verse 12. For I neither received it of man, nor was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ.
So when the Most High, through Christ, reveals certain things to you in the Spirit as a leader, you know this didn't come from man. It didn't come from you. That's why you got to give it out the same way it came to you from the Spirit of Christ, from the Holy Spirit. You understand that? Give it out in the same way it came to you. All right? You're not giving it out to be loved. As a matter of fact, as you go up leadership roles, just know when you do give it out, you're going to be hated. But you got to be okay with that. You got to have a broad back for that. All right? Good. Now, I don't say be unscrupulous and be, unreasonable and be a monster. I'm not saying be a monster. I'm just saying do what the scriptures say. Give it out in that same way. If they want to follow it, all praises. If they don't want to follow it, after 2 admonitions, sayonara, goodbye, no problem, move on. You're not going to be loved. I'm not saying be a monster, be wild. I'm not saying. Give correction when it's needed. Have a good balance as you go up the ranks. The scriptures say some you're going to save with fear. Some you're going to harshly rebuke. Some you're going to harshly correct. Some you're going to do so with sympathy and empathy because of the situation. But all in all, have a good balance. And you will be a very well-rounded, very well-balanced leader as you go. Because remember, as the congregants grow, you're growing too as a leader. Always remember that. No matter where you are in leadership, you're growing as well with them. All right? Good. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 13.
Reading from the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived.
Deceiving and being deceived. So for some persons, their spirit of manipulation and deception, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Do not expect anything more, anything better from them. Read on.
Verse 14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of.
You hear that? Continue in the things that you have learned. People are going to come and try to change what? The things that you have learned. What are they going to try to change it to? Fables, their own traditions, their own doctrines, their own way of doing things, their own suggestions. And then when you reject the suggestions, what they call you? You're unreasonable, Gabar. You ain't open to new things. You're not open to... And all you're asking them to do is what? Get in order. If you're a brother, rank up to soldier, rank up to officer so you could have some say-so about, suggestions. We'll let you know if your suggestions in the spirit of this or not, right? And if you're an officer, of course, you would have put in the work to know whether or not you're in the right spirit or not. You put in that work. Same thing for sisters, right? You on your way to becoming a senior sister? You're going to know whether, well, if you don't know, I mean, you shouldn't be in that position, but you're going to know whether or not what you're suggesting is in the spirit or not. All right? But it says now, continue in the things which you have learned. Meaning what? Sometimes I wonder, do persons think that when we teach this truth, the leaders in Israel, we just got up one day and they say, hey, I going to teach. And we just making up things as we go along. You know how long we had to sit and learn at the feet of our elders before we could even put out food that is digestible, eatable, that is even, edible. We had to learn for years in the background before we could actually teach. But I don't know. Maybe some persons think you just got up one day and decide, I'm going to teach the Bible. and I'll just wing it as we go along. Maybe that's what some brothers say. You're just winging it as you go along. So when they come in with these doctrines that we've heard years ago, and they want you to consider this doctrine, consider it. They're thinking that maybe you never heard it. The scripture said to continue in the things that you've learned. In other words, the things that your elders taught you, the things that their elders taught them, and going back. I'm talking about the core doctrine. I'm not talking about the nominal, non-salvific things that people debate over every single day. We're not talking about that. The core doctrine. It's been taught by elders to your leader. And it's taught by their elders to them now that they're leaders. You're supposed to do the same thing. The core doctrine that you've been taught, it says to continue in the things that you have learned. Don't bother go ascend up the ranks and now you're bringing in new things and new doctrines and new... No, don't. It says, continue in what you have learned and the things you've been assured of, knowing whom you learned them from. If you know the men that you learned this from are prominent leaders in Israel. They have works to show. They have a track record. They've brought persons into the truth. Those persons who they brought into the truth, they're doing works now. They have a track record. That means you know who you learn from. You know who you could see it. If the person who you learn from ain't really got a track record and every 3 months they come in to you, hey, consider this new doctrine. I mean, you don't know who you're learning from. They don't have no works. They don't have no... You understand? And if the Lord is exposing certain persons right now, consider that as well. I see in Israel we have people that like popularity contests. Oh, this group here popular? I mean, they got more knowledge. Popularity doesn't equate to wisdom and knowledge. Let me just let y'all know that. It doesn't synonymize to sound doctrine either when it comes to popularity. Remember that. Always. Good. Let's get the Apocrypha Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, verse 7. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7.
Reading from the Apocrypha, the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7. If thou would get a friend, prove him first.
Prove him first.
And be not hasty to credit him.
Be not hasty to credit him. I can't stress on that enough. When it comes to persons that may come into the congregation, you got to prove them first before you start now accepting all these suggestions and, preferences and all these. Prove them first. What does that mean in the sense of the congregation? Prove them first. You got to allow them to go through. Now, some of them might not even last through BCT. I'll be honest with you. They're not going to last. They're not going to finish out the months of BCT that we have, basic camp training. Some brothers just can't stop sinning, so they don't finish BCT. And you're going to take suggestions from a brother like that? A brother who he don't know his hand from his foot in the scriptures. You're going to take suggestions from that brother about how the congregation should run? You make a grave mistake. He can't even get his life in order, but you're taking suggestions from him. That's not very wise. But it says, prove him first. Prove him first. Let him go through the ropes first. Prove to see if he's worthy to actually last in this truth. Prove to see if he's going to endure in this truth. Prove to see if he's even going to last the test of time in even the basic things when you first come into the truth. See if he's going to last. Prove. Prove to see if he's going to improve. Prove to see if he's going to continue just being an emotional train wreck, or if, let's say, he's a crash out. Prove him. Don't just start bringing that brother into the core things of what's happening and, he given key position to do certain things when his spirit is fickle. He not in a position to have his heart solidified in the truth as yet. You can't give a person like that key position. Because you do that, what's going to happen is, when it all comes tumbling down, you would have made the mistake and put them in a key position when they weren't built up as yet. They weren't strong enough as yet. They weren't there as yet. You got to prove them. See what they would do in certain situations. All right? Red flags. I'll zip through them very quickly. You can write them down. All right? Here's a few. This is not all the red flags. This is just some. All right? Number one, people with a manipulative spirit never really say what they want, or never really say what they really want. They kind of hint or imply. They kind of emotionally bait you into offering them what they want, but they don't really directly ask. Like they kind of hint at it. All right? Number two, another red flag is they always play victim. All right? To gain sympathy or to gain some form of power. All right? Consistently, they always feel wronged. Consistently, they go to everyone else and tell them how they've been wronged. Consistently, they go to everyone and try to get everyone to agree with them that they've been wronged. They go to everyone. Look out for those spirits that susu. They go to this person, I've been wronged. I go to this person, I've been wronged. I go to this person, I've been wronged. And they now rile up a whole, battalion, and say, listen, but the spirit that's on them is doing it is to cause destruction. Right? Look out for it. It's very common. It happens in every congregation. But that spirit just hops from one person, hops to the next. It's a very contagious spirit. So look out for that. Persons who play victim constantly go to everyone saying they feel wronged or I feel misunderstood. All right? Even in situations where they weren't mind you, situations where they were the one who did the wrong, they were the ones who been unscrupulous, they broke a law, they did something in error. Even in situations where they were not mistreated, they try to manipulate others and how others treat them and view them. They always say things like, this is what happened to me. They never talk about what they did. And brothers, like I mentioned classes and classes ago, don't let nobody allow you to break the law. The law says you got to do what? Hear about what? If anybody come to you and tell you, this is how I've been wrong, then the words don't come out of your mouth, but what did you do? You know sinning. You know going off. Don't allow nobody to make you sin your own soul. Anybody come to you with any story about how they've been wronged? You listen, yes. But then after you finish asking them, so what was your part that you played with in the whole thing? All right, good. So that what you're doing is stopping the spirit of manipulation in its tracks. You're now calling for accountability on their part to now say what they did. Good. Another red flag is they flatter excessively. Look out for those flattery words to just flatter you, give you all of this flattery. Words of flattery, often deceit hides behind it, manipulation hides behind it. If you're not able to identify, it will trick you, it will fool you. All right, words of flattery. If you see somebody, they don't know you from Adam, they just came into the congregation recently and they just give you words of flattery. Look out for that. Something is behind that. All right? Good. What they're trying to do is secure position, secure favoritism, secure favors, secure leeway. All right? They're not doing it out of sincerity. They're doing it to secure things. Here's another red flag really quickly. They're different around different people. How they are around you is different around somebody else. The words is different. The actions is different. There's like a chameleon. They blend in based on who they're talking to. And they adapt to saying the things that spirit's so conniving. It knows what the other person wants to hear, so it says it to them. And it goes to another person and it says something completely different because it knows what the other person also wants to hear. But they're doing this playing both sides of the fence, both sides of the coin. Right. Good. So even when it comes to their beliefs or their behaviors, it just shifts. You call them double talkers. You call them two-faced behaviors. Look out for them. Mine. All right. Up there where we got a lot of Judites, Brother Yahushua, look out for that. Please. Good. Another red flag is they use spiritual language to kind of shut down opposition. They say things like, the Lord told me, the Lord revealed to me, he told me that Your suggestion, it ain't really, my suggestion is the thing that we should be doing. This is what the Lord revealed to me. All right? The Lord told me, he showed me. Mind you, so you could know, it's a spirit of manipulation as well. The Lord ain't tell them how their life out of order. The Lord ain't tell them how they need to get their life in order right now. The Lord ain't tell them that they need to honor their vows. The Lord ain't tell them none of those things in terms of getting their life in order. But yet the Lord told them, you're wrong. The Lord told them that you off. The Lord told them how the way you doing things is wrong. But yet the Lord ain't tell them, my brother, your life is in shambles right now. Your life crazy right now. The Lord didn't tell them that. The Lord stepped over them and went all the way to give them a higher responsibility to tell you, right, Captain Gabar, that, the way you're doing things is off. It's manipulation. And it's deflecting, and it's avoiding accountability for their own life. All right? Good. Another red flag is they stir up strife but never try to look like they're the source of the strife. All right? So, for instance, they act like the peacemaker, but really and truly, they're planting seeds of division wherever they go. Y'all get the point. Good. Another red flag is they use guilt as a weapon. All right? They make others feel bad about setting boundaries for themselves. All right? They will say things like, well, I thought you was different. Well, I guess I was wrong. You ain't different. You're like everybody else. They guilt you into you setting boundaries. Another red flag is they do favors with strings attached. All right? They help you now, so later they can say, after all I did for you, Brother Daniel. Right? Another red flag is they confide in you about others. Always watch this. Always watch this. Always watch this. People that come to you about everybody else and, how they're concerned. And mind you, it comes very subtle. I just concerned about this, bro. Concerned about this, sis. Concerned about. I'm bringing you this, what they're doing is trying to build trust and make you feel like you're special. But in truth, what they're doing is stirring division, and they're just kind of gathering information. All right? So if they talk to you about everyone, then they're talking to everyone about you as well. Always understand that. Never forget that. Look at that pattern. They're talking to you about everybody else, then they're talking to everybody else also about you. You got to cut those things off as its tracks. Okay? Good. Now, another red flag is they twist words when they get confronted. They get confronted about something. Let me twist it. Let me flip it. I didn't really say that. Or I was just joking when I said that. Or just, I didn't mean it like that. All right? They deflect. They deny. They make you feel confused without noticing what's the issue. They're very smooth. I'm going to give you this. They're very smooth. They just get their words is like butter. Woo! Can't pin it down, right? They say, oh, you misunderstood me. No, you said what you said. All right? You said what you said. Now, another red flag is they're seeking influence without any accountability. All right? They want to teach. They want to lead. They want to advise. They want to be in a certain position. But they resist being what? Corrected. They resist being overseen. They resist being questioned, right? Manipulators, they hate submission. They hate leadership. But they love to be in a position where they're visible and a position that they're, in a leadership role, right? They love that. They're not in a leadership role because there's more that needs to be done. They just like that position because they want to, seek that influence without any accountability. Another red flag. They weaponize their emotions. Woo. They get extremely emotional, tears, outbursts, outrage, sadness. When they get exposed, they're being held accountable, and they turn the attention from their actions into their feelings. Again, they turn the attention from their actions into their feelings. Classic manipulative spirit, all right? Another red flag is they isolate people. What does that mean? They now turn others against somebody that they don't like or they feel threatened by. So they all often come to you and say, well, are spiritually kind of discerning that this person, yeah, this is really what's going on with them, so that you don't like them, you turned away from them. Is that susu spirit again, all right? They'll be telling like, yeah, watch that brother spirit there. Something ain't right with him. Watch that sister spirit there. Something ain't right with her. Something just ain't right. All right? So these red flags, they could occur separately, together, in clusters. But the key to look for is just patterns. All right? Patterns. One-offs, I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as that's the spirit, but you got to look for patterns, consistent patterns. All right? It tends to repeat. Even if you get dressed up in spiritual clothing, it's on repeat. All right? All praises. So those are some of the red flags. All right? We're going to end it there for today. All praises to the Most High. All right? We want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Thank you for joining us on today's class. And be sure to give your alms, your donations, your offerings. In the description below, you have PayPal as well as National Mobile Banking. All right? The Lord definitely loves a giver who's giving unto the ministry of the Lord. As he giveth you, you give back unto him. All praises. So we're going to close out with that. I'm not sure if we got any questions online. If we don't, all right, we do? Oh, we don't? Okay, all praises. And we have the new moon coming up next week, Saturday at sundown. All right, stay tuned for that. All praises. And continue staying in the spirit, Israel. Look out for these different spirits. Work on yourself. Work on improving. Work on advancing. All right, the idea and the mission and the goal is to, with every day that passes, get better than you were yesterday. Improve on being a better man, a better woman for Yahweh Shai the Christ as the time draws near, as prophecies start to unfold even more. All praises. With that, we're going to close out. We say, Most High in Christ bless. Shalom.